brand new video. My name is Jade and I help people reclaim back their power physically, mentally and spiritually. Today we're going to be sharing truths, very dark truths and satanic rituals exposed in modern day films, Hollywood films. So I've picked three films that really reveal a lot and all three are quite different to each other. So the films I'm going to be talking about today are Dr. Sleep, Monsters Inc. and The Dark Crystal. Now these three films, so one's a horror, one's an animation, and one's a fantasy film. Now all three seem quite different from each other. You wouldn't really want, to link the three. However, all three are pretty much about the same thing. And when you study occultism, it goes on behind closed doors in this world, and know about certain truths that are hidden from society, you will see the common truth and theme between all three of these films, and that is satanic ritual abuse towards mainly children. All three of these films reveal dark occultic rituals that happen by satanic Luciferian people, mainly the elite people that are in the shadows that control much of what we see in today's society. I'm not going to be going down that road too much. One, because I probably can't. If I do, I'll probably get banned. So in these films, they reveal what dark occultists need to conjure demonic entities and to feed. So if you have watched already my demon video, so please do watch that. I'll link that there. You'll get a better understanding of what I'm talking about. So to understand the main objective in black magic and dark occultists, you will need to know that certain dark entities feed off fear. So they basically, fear is their food. So fear, the energy of fear is their food. So there is two truths that are revealed in these films. And Monsters Inc. is probably the strongest one revealing the fear truth. Basically, all three of these films are also about adrenochrome. So this is a certain drug that elite dark occultists use and drink. And it's basically blood from a sacrificed child from the pituitary glands. So this drug gives these people a very ecstatic, blissful sensation, like a high when they have it. And also it makes them not age, it keeps them young. It keeps them very young. And it also feeds certain entities that are normally within the possessed hosts. Now, this is a very, very deep rabbit hole to get into, and it's a very complex topic. So I'll do my best in trying to explain it simply and try to keep this video short. So, with dark occultic people, satanic people who do these rituals, most of them will have certain genes and bloodlines. So they can take on certain dark entities, basically possession. And these hosts will basically have to feed these entities. And this is why they do satanic rituals. And a lot of the time, the hosts willingly do this because they worship these entities as gods. Or they do it out of fear because they know if they don't do what they are told, then they will get killed, murdered, or whatever. But a lot of the time, they kind of enjoy it because they feel like it gives them power. It gives them power in this matrix through money, wealth, fame, etc. And this has been going on for a really, really long time. So these people see these entities as gods because they have been here for centuries, possibly since the dawn of time. But these beings are extremely dark. They're the complete opposite of love. They are responsible for a lot of dark energy and evil that goes on in our world today. They manipulate our world and society to keep everyone dumbed down and on a very low frequency, on a very low vibration of fear. This is why when you watch the news, all they do is put fear, fear, fear. They fearmonger everything to keep you blind and to keep you in a fearful state, because they cannot live in a world in a vibration frequency of love. They live in a vibrational frequency band that's based on fear. So these beings are interdimensional, which means they are not solid. They do not have a physical form like we do. So they live within a certain frequency band. And bear in mind that us humans can only see a very minute certain frequency of what we live in within this matrix. So there are many dimensions around us that we just do not see and we're not aware of, unless you are more prone, more sensitive to that, unless you're a psychic or a shaman or take psychedelic drugs as well, like ayahuasca, etc. And then you can pierce through the veil and see into these other dimensions. But these entities come from a very low dimension that use certain humans with certain genes, certain bloodlines as hosts. So in the film Monsters Inc., they basically show how these monsters, which represent these elite beings, these elite people, will go after children and scare them. So what happens in the satanic abuse rituals towards children is they will have to raise their adrenaline. So in order to do that, there will be some sort of torture that has to happen to release fear. So they have to release huge amounts of adrenaline and fear in order to then extract adrenochrome and in order to give more power and to efficiently feed these demonic entities, because fear is their food. So this is what is perfectly portrayed in Monsters Inc., where these monsters literally live in different dimensions, and they somehow have built these doors. So the doors basically are gateways. So the doors act as dimensional gateways into the dimension of Earth, into the dimension of where these children live. So these monsters, from their own separate dimension, go into these gateways. So only certain gateways that they can pass through into our dimension. And then they are able to attack and scare the children. So they release a huge amount of fear, which releases a huge amount of adrenaline, which then represents energy. So it is a huge amount of energy and fear. And in Monsters Inc., they show that, you know, they fill up the tubes of their energy, which to them is what they need to survive in their dimension. So basically, it's like their battery. So fear is their battery. Their fear energy from children is their battery to survive, the energy they need to live in their dimension. So this basically represents what happens in real life, that demons, demonic entities need fear energy to survive, to feed off. The great thing about Monsters Inc. is how eventually the main character, Sully, shows and figures out that love vibration, laughter, is 10 times more powerful than fear. So when he finds out, he makes the little girl laugh, he realizes how extremely powerful her laughter, her joy energy is compared to fear. And again, this is true. And this is why they do so much in this reality, in our realm, to keep people depressed, dumbed down, sick, miserable, and scared, because they know how powerful our love and joy and laughter frequency is. I mean, even laughter in itself is truly medicine. Like, that's not just a bullshit saying. So don't underestimate the power of your laughter, because laughter is joy. It's the links to joy frequency. So it's such a high frequency that these beings are not capable of. They cannot access that. And joy and love is like the same thing. It's very similar. So that is what, you know, that is a great truth that they reveal in that animation in Monsters Inc. Another film is obviously Dr. Sleep. So the complete opposite is a horror movie. Again, it's a fantastic film, and it's like extremely like specific in what it shows you. It shows you probably the most specific truths of what happens in our day-to-day worlds that many people are not aware of. So I cannot stress this enough. Please watch this movie if you haven't already. FYI, warning, there is some disturbing scenes. So in Dr. Sleep, it is basically a sequel to the film The Shining. So Stephen King's The Shining, which was made, I think, in the 70s or the 80s, so a very old film, also very good. But this film goes so much deeper into like a whole other level. So in this movie, it reveals how there are certain people who shine. So what they mean by this is these people are basically what we would call empaths, psychics, highly sensitive people, mediums, you know, witches, shamans, etc. So people who have the ability to see and experience paranormal things and energies that normal people don't. So with these people attract demonic entities tenfold because we have more energy and we light up, we shine. Like this links to the video that I done previously the other week about how demonic entities hunt light workers. So please watch that to understand that concept even more. But in this movie, so the main character is Danny, is the boy that was shown in the previous movie, The Shining. He is now an adult. And unfortunately, because of his gifts, he has gone through a lot of trauma and became an alcoholic and went through a lot of darkness because of what he experienced as a child with his dad and the trauma that he went through, obviously. For a lot of spiritual people who are natural psychics and mediums, etc., will normally go through a lot of trauma. I certainly have. And it takes a long time, normally until your late 30s, even 40s, if you're lucky, to fully control your gift and actually realize how to protect yourself if you don't have guidance. In this movie, Danny is somewhat hidden. He tries to keep himself to himself. He's recovering from being an alcoholic. And then he comes across a young girl who is extremely psychic, and she has a very high amount of energy. She shines extremely bright. And in this movie, there is a certain group of individuals who are not human. So again, this group represents the elite. So this group represents the dark occultic people who practice dark magic and who are possessed by an inhuman spirits, who are possessed by a very dark demonic beings who give them long life and certain amounts of power, etc. However, they need to feed. So this movie has so much depth into it and reveals perfectly what they have to do to actually activate these beings within themselves. So there was one scene where they recruit a new person. So these people will also target people who are special, who have gifts, just like they do in real life. So the dark occultic people will try to invoke people into their cults that are gifted and have certain talents and abilities, so they can use them efficiently to do what they want, basically, to further, accomplish their agendas. So this kind of represents how they target people and celebrities to puppet, etc. So these people are basically puppets to these demonic beings. But they sell their souls to fully get these gifts from these beings. And you will see that in the movie, what they do to one particular woman, young girl. So these beings will target children which have very high amounts of psychic abilities. They will target children that have high amounts of lights. They call it the shining. This is why it's called the shining. So they will target children that have a lot of energy, who are gifted, who are special. Before they get dumbed down by drugs, mental health drugs, food, Netflix, all that stuff. So this is why they target young children, because their energy is more pure, it's more powerful. Because as you age and start going down the route of eating junk food and drinking and drugs, taking any psychiatric medicines, etc., your energy weakens and it gets less and less potent. And that's why it's more difficult as adults to activate their third eyes, etc., and use their psychic abilities, because your third eye gets more calcified. Please check out my free third eye ebook if you want to learn how to decalcify your third eye at any age that you're at, basically, to help amplify and activate your psychic abilities. They target a young child using their frequency. They can pinpoint where they are. They can like hunt them down like a GPS, because your frequency is like, they have like built-in GPS, so they can like find you just based on how much energy you are emitting. So they hunt down their energy. So once they find a child that has a high amount of energy, they will then capture them and kill them in a ritualistic way. So the way they murder them is to make sure that they hurt them and make them feel a lot of pain. So they have to up their adrenaline in the child. So they won't kill them quickly. And they actually show this in a very disturbing scene that they do to a very cute young boy. They'll kill him in quite a horrible way. And make sure that he's scared, that he's screaming, and that he's in a lot of pain. And then the more fear and adrenaline that surges through his body, the better it tastes for them. So you'll see in the movie how their energy, how they portray it, comes out of their mouth. And these beings will then be like breathing it all in, like sucking it in. And then they get all high, and it's like, you know, very static and blissful for them. And the main character is called Rose the Hat. She is like the ringleader, the most powerful one, and she captures their essence, their energy, into a flask that they can then keep and store and then feed off and eat later on. So this essence that they keep in the jar, again, this represents adrenochrome in real life, because this is what they keep. So again, it's all symbolic because they can't show the exact scene that they do. But that essence is symbolic of the bloods. So in this movie, it shows how this essence, their shine that they keep in the flask, gives these beings somewhat immortal life. So they're not completely immortal, they can die, but they live for a very long time. And this is the same with these people in real life. They'll try to extend their life for as long as possible, as they fear death and they don't want to die. So their main obsession is about staying young. What I love about this film as well is how they show that we can astral project. So they show how Rose the Hat, so, you know, the evil one, and this very gifted young girl, and also the man, all astral projects. They have the ability to leave their bodies and go into each other's consciousness. They can access their subconscious brains, and they can access their information, their own Akashic records, so to speak, because we all carry our own records within us. And in this particular film, I don't want to give away spoilers too much. So yeah, just watch it. It's a very good film, and it shows in the end, you know, it does have a somewhat good ending. Because they basically learn that, you know, the good guys have to empower themselves to fight against these people. So they have to really fully activate their shine, their magical spiritual abilities to stop these people once and for all, to protect children. And this is basically the work that us light workers need to be doing. So we need to be, you know, exposing these dark truths. We need to exposing what goes on. And also some of us need to be in the astral realms fighting them. And I know myself and some other people who do this and have been doing this for a very long time. And it's not easy. It's very draining because it can affect your physical body. So it's very difficult to keep on top of it. And this is why it's imperative to look after your mind, body and spirits. Because when you are fighting these entities within the astral realm, it is very, very taxing on you. The third one is the dark crystal. I actually already made a video about this, so please check that out. And I do go quite into depth into a particular scene that reveals a lot of truth of like what we live in. But again, the Skeksis are the ones that are now represent the dark occultic people, the dark occultists and negative entities that they possess. So again, this is a fantasy film and it's fantastic. I actually really do like this series. So the newest series that they made that's currently on Netflix. So obviously the Skeksis go after the Gelfling, and the Gelfling represent us. So they represent, you know, especially children. They're very young, innocent, very pure. And they basically drink their essence. So their essence is, of course, adrenochrome. So again, they capture them and they put this machine, this horrible thing that they create that hurts them and makes them scared. So it produces a lot of adrenaline, and then they obviously extract their essence from their body until the Gelfling die. And then they drink the essence, and then this essence gives them a high. It makes them ecstatic. It makes them all happy. They party, and then it gives them life basically. So it stops them from dying. So can you see the theme here? This is actually also shown in Hocus Pocus. Again, a great film. From the 90s, because the three witches, again, what do? They hunt after children, and then they do that sucking in. They're sucking in their energy, they're sucking in their essence to make them immortal, to make them de-age. So there's so many, there's probably more films, I can't remember all of them, but there's so many films that actually reveal this truth and reveal this ritual, this satanic ritual abuse that they've been doing for centuries, so a really, really, really long time. Even vampire films reveal this as well. This is where like vampirism came from. Of course, they've glamorized the hell out of vampires now. However, this is actually, you know, linked to that as well. The drinking of the blood to make them immortal, to make them strong. Have you seen any movies that reveal this truth? If so, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Please check out my website, thegoddesscoven.net, where I offer oracle card readings and art services, and where you can get my ebooks. So my free ebook, and I also have a chakra cleanse ebook. So if you want an oracle reading, I do provide those. So thegoddesscoven.net, or I will put a link in the description box below to take you to all my links and also my Instagram, etc, etc. So much love to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, until next time, lots of love, lots of lights. Ahimsa. Thank you.